Well, thank you everybody for showing up to this information session about Western University. You may have seen me here at the school before. I usually come here several times per year, and sometimes I attend graduation. How many students in the room are grade 12 students? All right, so the vast majority of you, if not all. So I will probably be attending your graduation in May. My name is Carolyn Ford, and I've been at Western University for 6 years, and so it's my pleasure to share some of this information with you. And so I hope everybody has a purple brochure at this point. Excellent. So, some of you have probably applied to universities on the OUAC, and some of you are still considering what universities are you going to put on your short list. How many of you feel really busy studying for your grade 12 courses right now? Excellent, that's what I was looking for. I totally get it. Calculus, physics, chemistry, biology, advanced functions, all of it. This is a heavy academic load. Do you feel that you have a lot of time to research all of the universities in the world and figure out which one is the right match for you? Probably not. Does anybody know how many universities there are in the entire world? Over 20,000. So yeah, you don't have time to research them all. I'm here to make your life that little bit easier. Western University, in the rankings, in particular the QS rankings, is one of the top 200 higher education institutions out of that entire set of 20,000. And that makes us in the top 1% in the entire world. The exact ranking this year was 198. And so some of you might be asking, well, that sounds lovely. Okay, that's an excellent university. That's a fairly easy choice. But does Western University offer the program that you are interested in? Let's take a look. So I'm going to ask you to open the purple booklet and take a look at page 3. On page 3 of this brochure, which is also available online if you want to share a digital copy with your parents and friends back home, is a list of all of the undergraduate programs that Western offers. So I hope you see something that you like. If you don't, please raise your hand and ask. Every once in a while, we might call a program by a different name. So I hope everybody sees something that they like. Because we are a large, public, research-intensive university, well, that's why we have a little bit of everything. All the way from the arts and humanities through all the ranges of sciences. Yes, question?
I don't see actuarial science.
Actuarial science. So you will see actuarial science listed under Faculty of Science. And our actuarial science program is listed as a Center of Actuarial Excellence by the Canadian Association of Professional Actuaries. So we are a great place to be studying actuarial science. So usually when I come here, I do meet several students that are interested in business programs, and so if that is true of you as well, then just be aware that our business program doesn't call itself business. It calls itself Management and Organizational Studies, and so you'll see it listed here towards the bottom of page 3. And you'll see that there's one of 6 things you could choose to be your specialization or major. Not only is Western a highly ranked university overall, but also some of these programs are listed in top 50 or top 100 in the entire world. In the case of top 50 in the rankings, when you see the programs listed for English, nursing, philosophy, computer science, all of those programs have recently been listed as top 50 in the entire world. If we're talking about top 100, then subjects such as psychology, economics, the entire Faculty of Social Science, all of those have been listed top 100 in the world. Last but not least, in addition to management and organizational studies, Western also has its own business school on campus. So you've probably heard of the Ivy Business School. The Ivy Business School, for several years now, has been ranked top 100 in the world for its honors in business administration program. So 2 options for studying business at Western. One is this, and the second one is Ivy. And we can talk about Ivy a little bit more as we work our way along. So the other programs, of course, are excellent as well, but the ones that I just listed have that special mention as top 50 or top 100 in the entire world, not just Canada. If you choose to apply to Western, one of the things that will happen automatically over the course of the application cycle is that we are considering you for admission scholarships. Would anybody like to hear about those scholarships? Excellent. So think about, imagine in your mind, the average that you will have for your 6 4U subjects as you complete your Ontario Secondary School Diploma. Do you have that average in mind? You know what you think it will be? Then please turn the page, because there's a chart on page 4. This colorful chart right here. If you achieve a certain average as listed on that chart, then in August of 2017, as you make your way to our campus, you will receive a message confirming the level of scholarship that you will receive from Western University. You'll also notice on the left-hand side of the page that Western is looking for 3 really high-achieving international scholars. And this is the International President's Entrance Scholarship. Unlike the admissions scholarship, which we do the math and we calculate it automatically, for this one you must actively take steps to submit application materials by the February 14th deadline. And the application, the website, is now open to receive those applications. There will be materials that you need, such as a nomination from Columbia as a school. You'll need some letters of reference, and you will also need, there'll be an essay that you write about an issue of global importance. And all of these will be materials that you submit for consideration by the scholarship committee. If you're selected for an interview, that interview would take place in March or maybe even early April. But then if you are one of the winners, you would know by the end of April, because what will happen is the president of Western University, President Chakma, will get on the phone and give you a call and offer you the President's Entrance Scholarship. And so wouldn't that be lovely to know that you have a scholarship of that magnitude before you even have to make your university decision? Now there's other awards from donors and alumni that you may also be considered for. And if that is the case, you would receive a notification along with your offer of admission. Sometime, for most people, that would take place in April or May. But there will be some people who receive offers earlier. All right? And that basically summarizes the scholarship information. Okay. Next, I'm going to ask you to take a look at what it's like to live in London on the following page. London as a city, we're about 90 minutes away from here. You just head down to the 403 and then the 401. London as a city is about 381,000 people. The university, when it's in session, has 38,000 students. And that means that you are very, very important. Students make up 10% of the City of London population. So we are a university town. We are always very happy when it comes to late August, early September, when we are welcoming the students back on campus. Our city has a special buzz and aliveness when you are here. It's very quiet in the summer when you're gone. It's alive when you're here. So London is a student town that is really going to support you in your student experience. And you'll see in the little map in green, you'll see just where we are in relation to Toronto. A lot of Western students are, they love Toronto, but they like the opportunity to be on a campus that is that green and that beautiful, focusing on their studies and on their friendships during the academic year. If there's an event or some family and friends that you want to meet in Toronto, the Greyhound bus service stops in the heart of campus 20 times a week. You hop on the bus, and then you and 49 other Western students are going to be en route to Union Station together. And so Toronto is still there when you want it and you need it, but the rest of time you're going to be able to focus on your studies and friendships on campus. And speaking of the campus, I'm going to ask you to flip to the very end of the brochure, because it's at the very end that you see a map. Western University is a community campus, which means that everything that we have to offer is all located in one place. In particular, if you're living in the halls of residence, the halls of residence are the buildings that you see in green on this map. Every year, Western University is looking for 5,000 new students. And it just so happens that in those halls of residence, their capacity is about 5,000 students. And that has special meaning or relevance to you because it means we can offer you a guarantee of a place in residence. Now there's some rules and conditions. You need to make a prepayment by the prepayment deadline, but we can guarantee you that you have a dorm, a place on campus. When you wake up in the morning, you grab your breakfast from the dining hall, you grab your tea or your coffee, you're walking away from the buildings in green, and you have a 5 to 10 minute walk to your first lab, lecture, or if you're going to the recreation center to work out, you are only 5 to 10 minutes walk from your first activity of the day. In your upper years, there are some opportunities to continue living on campus if you desire, but what a lot of students will do is they will group together with friends and they will rent houses or apartments together, and there are many apartment complexes just on the boundary of campus in this direction and this direction. So one of the things that you get with your tuition is a local transportation pass. Even when you're living off campus, you're going to have a very quick method of getting on and off campus at the beginning and end of every day. So I don't have too much more in the way of formal remarks that I'm going to share, but I do encourage you to open up to the centerfold, because you could be living and working and developing a great social network of friends in this beautiful, green, clean, and healthy place. Because we are a campus community, one of the other services and supports that we offer is that we are one of the few Canadian universities that has its own campus community policing service on site. We also have our own hospital. So if you were walking down the stairs and you accidentally tripped, and let's say you're in the stairwell and you're hurt, if you call the emergency number, the campus police and the student emergency response team are going to be there to help you in less than 2 minutes. So you are not alone at Western. There's always somebody there to help and support you, because we are that type of community campus. Okay. So each one of you is unique, and you probably have different faculty programs of interest to you. So what I want to encourage you to do at some point when you have a couple free moments is to pick up the purple brochure again and visit the faculty page that's of interest to you. Each faculty has about half page of coverage, but then it leads you to the website. Every one of you probably has questions about what are the exact courses do I study for this major? What do current students do if they're doing a co-op or internship? What's the employment rate? And where do these students go in terms of companies and industries after they complete this faculty program? Where do they go? What do they do? The answers to all of those questions and more, that's all available at the faculty website. And so I encourage you to take a look, because that's where you'll see the authentic voice of my current students. Because I certainly can't bring all 38,000 of them here to visit Columbia. Okay? All right, very last thing before I open it up to questions is that on page 15, towards the very, very end, there may be some students that we ask for additional proof of English language proficiency. And so there is a little chart in the middle of the page that will highlight the requirements for TOEFL and for IELTS. And so as you go through the course of this year, as you begin to start taking those tests, you can measure your score reports against what you are seeing on this particular page. All right. All right, very, very last thing. I promised I would talk more about Ivey Business School if people were interested. Of the group that we have here today, how many of you, and just show by raising your hand, would like to hear more about the Ivey Business School? Okay. All right, so I'll touch on it very, very briefly, but then I'll also be available for questions one-on-one afterwards. And so the Ivey Business School, this is an honors in business administration, so it is a very rigorous business education, but at the same time, it's going to be very different from other business programs you may be considering. Most business programs you're looking at will probably list themselves as four-year business programs. BBA, Bachelor's in Business Administration, or BCom, Bachelor of Commerce. They'll probably list themselves that way. Ivey, in contrast, is not a four-year program. Ivey is a two-year program. A question that I frequently receive from students is, I don't understand how I could be learning enough about business if I'm only studying business for 2 years. So that's a frequent question. And here's the answer. Ivey, if you come to Ivey as an HBA student, the intensity of what you are doing is such that in terms of contact hours and learning of business, you will do more work in those 2 years than most students do in a four-year business program. That is how intense it is. HBA Year 1, we group you into groups of 65 students. You are in the classroom pretty much non-stop, Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 1:30, with that same group of 64 other people, all year long. You're going to know these people for the rest of your life. You may even marry one of them. That happens sometimes too. Your time is so structured and precious that you stay in that same classroom that whole time, and it's the professors who rotate in and out to teach you your lectures and case studies. It very much is a case study driven business education. There will be individual work, group work, competition work, and much of it will revolve around the idea that a case study is a real business problem that some company in the past has faced and has had to try and solve. So it very much is a learning by doing, learning by thinking method. When you're not in class, Monday to Friday, 8:30 to 1:30, you will be busy preparing for those case studies, doing reports, doing projects and competitions. And so all of your time during those 2 years will be very, very scripted. Now, the only other thing I'll say about Ivey at this point is that you have two opportunities to apply. One is right now as a grade 12 student. If you make application, and there are the basic details of that on page 13 of the purple booklet. If Ivey makes you an offer and you must submit a separate application to be considered. Just going on to the OUAC and clicking that little box, I am interested in Ivy AEO, is not enough. Every year there are hundreds of students that click that box, and then in April say, when am I going to hear from Ivy? Well, you're not, because if you did not go to the Ivy website and submit a separate application, Ivy did not consider you. But if you did submit a separate application, Ivy considered it, and when they consider it, it's not just going to be about the grades, it's also going to be about your leadership. If they make you an offer, then what they are making is an advanced offer. It's advanced notice that 2 years later you are coming to Ivy. Nobody receives Ivy AEO and then goes to Ivy directly. That does not happen. You must spend your first 2 years at Western if you have AEO status. And when I say at Western, that can be any one of the 4 campuses. The main campus or one of the affiliates, Brescia, Huron, and Kings. Okay? And if you, for some reason, you apply to AEO and this year Ivy said no, they just didn't extend you an offer, please be aware that there's a phrase in English, I hope you've heard it many, many times. If at first you don't succeed, try again. You have another opportunity as a year 2 student to resubmit an application to Ivy, and this time, on the basis of great university grades and extracurricular leadership, the second time around, Ivy might be able to say yes to you this time. So please be aware there are 2 opportunities to submit an application to Ivy, not just the one. Okay? And so with that, I'll bring the sort of my formal remarks to a close. I'm going to be available up there for a couple more minutes if you want to ask me a question one-on-one. If you would like my business card so that at any time during the application cycle you want to contact me and ask me a question, I'm available to do that. So thank you again for your attention and best wishes for the rest of your studies this term. My pleasure.